What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. He blasts Gennady Golovkin, says that he is a newfound cherry picker. He doesn't want to fight a real fighter. He doesn't want a true challenge, and he's only in it for the money. Wow. You know, what Demetrius Andrade said is exactly what I said a few days ago about Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin is turning into that commercial fighter. You know, that guy that's only wanting to fight for that big paycheck. In the meanwhile, wants to fight a bunch of nobodies. And you know, it's sad in Golovkin's case because wasn't Golovkin the guy that was perceived to be the boogeyman, was perceived to be that guy that nobody wanted to fight? Remember that? And by default, therefore, his opponents were lesser opposition simply because nobody wanted to fight him. You know, people criticized him about his mandatories and stuff like that. But then, you know, it was a time that people and his weight class didn't want to fight him. You know, that's why they're not shit now. That's why they didn't excel in legacy standards, why they won't be Hall of Famers like Peter Quillen. He didn't want any. Chris Eubank Jr. is supposed to have had a fight with him, and somehow it just got magically canceled. You know what I mean? Like, things like that happen. You know, Billy Joe Saunders, he signed his end. Golovkin didn't sign his. So now we fast forward to 3 years later. Golovkin's now refusing to fight the guys that he could have fought. Sure, he fought Danny Jacobs before in a close fight, close enough for you to run that back, but he doesn't even want to run that back, right? What he wants to do is wait on for Canelo, right? That's the only person he's seeing Canelo like, dude, you signed a deal with DAZN to fight Canelo. That's it. You didn't sign it to fight anyone else that will risk you losing. You know what I mean? And I'm like this, if you were that paranoid or that unsure about judges in Vegas or anywhere else that might give you a fair shake, why didn't you just retire? Because it makes no sense for you to fight Steve Rolls and people don't even know who the hell that is. And then he even, you know, it lasted 4 rounds, you know, but a guy like Steve Rolls, a guy that's untested, a guy we don't know about, a guy that's never been on that level before, you know, versus other people that fans are screaming like, fight this guy. Charlo, fight Charlo. Get Charlo out of there. And a lot of people don't like Charlo or the Charlos. But you don't like these guys, but then yet you don't want to fight these guys. You're mandated to fight these guys and you still don't want to fight them. And I don't understand it at all. Like, what's the deal? You know, okay, Billy Joe. You don't want to fight Billy Joe. You don't want to fight Andrade. Andrade is the WBO. That's the belt you never owned. And you still don't want to fight him. So the champion is calling you out saying you're a cherry picker. That same champion is on DAZN. Now, realistically, Charlo fights on PBC. That might be a little difficult to make. Real talk, right? But that's no excuse from avoiding Andrade. You know, to wait on Canelo. And Canelo's telling you, you got to have a belt first, dumbass. But you don't want to listen to that. You see what I'm saying? You won't take heed on someone's instructions. If he wants Canelo that bad, he has to fight someone to get a belt for it. And then he doesn't even want to do that. So what are we even talking about? Why is he even fighting? Because we've seen enough of Golovkin fight enough nobody people. People that are lower opposition that you never heard of, right? And that's why he was criticized back then. He was criticized back in the day because he fought no ones. Because he claimed that no one wanted to fight Golovkin. You know, he's the beast. He's the boogeyman. You know what I mean? And then you got guys like Lara calling you out from 154. You won't fight Lara, but you would fight Gabe Rosado. Make that shit make sense. You know what I mean? Like, and then now you don't want to fight anyone, right? And then a lot of people defended Golovkin. That's what made it so bad. People defended Golovkin to the point where oh no, they just don't want to fight him, and he's the truth, and he's this and that. And then when you get in there with Canelo, which you've been begging Canelo for a year and a half after he gave you the belt, and then he fought you, right? He fought you and showed, like, no, I'm not scared of you, and yes, I can take your punch. You don't punch that hard. You're just fighting guys that couldn't take punches, right? And it's funny, if he would have fought someone like Quillin, he probably would have knocked Quillin out, and people would have looked at him like, oh my God, he's the best thing into heavyweight, middleweight division since Hagler, right? So, but those fights didn't happen. They didn't happen for whatever reason, though. Maybe those particular guys didn't want to fight Golovkin. But you know what? A lot of fighters did. And they didn't have to be at 160. But he didn't want to go anywhere because he pretended he was on this island. No, guys, nah, I'm 160. I don't fight, no. Right? But then it's like, you didn't want to go to fight Ward. You didn't want to fight Lara when he was willing to come up, or fight Ward at a catch weight. So, but you can still claim there was no one else to fight. Now you have no excuse. Golovkin has no excuse for what he's doing. But he wants Canelo. But Canelo's saying, you got to get a belt first. You got to bring something to the table before I'm stepping back in the ring with you. Sorry. You know, I fought you twice already. You couldn't drop me. You couldn't hurt me like you did all the other fighters. You couldn't make a huge shift in that fight. All you could do is jab, and get another and left hook and uppercut every so often. They were good fights. Okay? I think Canelo, it's arguable. You can argue that Canelo won the second fight. You can argue that Golovkin won the second fight. But to see these fight again, to see how Canelo fights, because Canelo has something called ring generalship. Okay? Championship experience. Now that's a factor that certain fighters have and certain fighters don't. Okay? Like Tyson Fury has it. Canelo has it. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has it. They know what to do at certain times. Sugar Ray Leonard had it when he fought a Hagler. Okay? He knew, let me turn it on these last 10 seconds. Or when the fighter gets some momentum going, let me reply. Let me counterpunch with something extreme to let the audience and the judges know that I'm still in control. That's what Canelo has versus what Golovkin don't. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference. You know, that championship experience when you're dealing with these type fights. But anyway, in other words, he doesn't have the experience to beat Canelo, and I don't see him knocking him out at 37 years old. I'm sorry. If you couldn't do it at 35 nor 36, I don't think you would do it at 37. But now you've signed a contract with DAZN, and you want to fight only Canelo and no one else. That's pointless. Okay? That's beyond remedial. So I don't know why. You know, I mean, he doesn't even speak English no more. You know what I mean? He uses a translator now. What's up with that? Anyhow, I don't know, man. You know, it's just Golovkin is looking bad for Golovkin. It really is. Because he's not fighting any other challenger. And I thought that was weird. I'm like, well, why don't you want to fight Charlo? I mean, in the meantime, you know, when Canelo is doing whatever Canelo's doing. Because honestly, Canelo does what he wants to do. Right? He replaced Floyd in that cash cow status. You know, so, and therefore he does what he wants to do. That's it. I mean, you know, and he still fights guys. You know, he fought Jacobs, right? And he spent a lot of time fighting you, but then he's past that. Get over it. You know, so this is my thing for Golovkin. Golovkin needs to get out of the past. Okay? He needs to stop living in the past, stop being bitter, and move on. He knows this is boxing. It's the sport that I love, that I hate so much. Meaning that every decision won't go your way. It won't. It's either you do what Hagler did, right? And just pack all your shit up and fly to Italy and become a movie star. right? Or stay with it. So since he's decided to stay with it, guys, fight someone worth a damn. That's my counterpunch on that. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.